Well, some new technology is going to help inspectors get a close-up look at the state of some dams in Saskatchewan. The company DRONICᵀᴹ works closely with the province's water security agency. Next week, it will use data gathered by drones to assess the Duncairn and La Flèche dams. Daan Arscott is with DRONICᵀᴹ, and he joins us now. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Garth. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no worries.
How exactly will you be assessing these dams?
Yeah, it's a good question. So DRONICᵀᴹ uses drone-based data to collect data from drones, including visual data, thermal, and acoustic sounding data. And we then process that data using machine learning algorithms and AI to provide clients like WSA a digitized layer of their assets so they can better understand the condition of their structure.
So what are you looking for?
So we're looking for any sort of concrete defects, and so we'll use the visual data to look for things like cracking or spalling, chunks of concrete that have come removed from the structure. And then we use a internal proprietary acoustic payload. So I don't know if you've ever seen an engineer with a hammer tapping a structure, but they're tapping the structure to look for voids, kind of like when you're tapping the wall to find a stud. Sound concrete sounds unhollow versus, deteriorated concrete sounds hollow. So we're collecting that data set as well to provide clients a look at what their subsurface conditions of their asset are.
Without getting too technical, Dan, how does this technology work?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. Everything gets collected with drones, and then DRONICᵀᴹ has created its own software platform to analyze all that data. And then all that data gets uploaded to our cloud platform where our clients can visualize it, make maintenance decision repairs, be able to better capitally plan for upcoming projects, and really target specific locations that are in need.
So, do the clients end up with like a 3D rendition, or just what is the product at the end of the day?
Yeah, exactly. It's a series of 3D models of their structure, so digital twins, but also two-dimensional layers. So kind of like maps of their structure. So you can imagine a really high-resolution map, and then there's a data layer that gets laid on top of it with all of the individual defects. So there will be a cracking ID for every single crack on the structure. It'll tell them the quantity, the width, the length, and that is also applied for spalls and delaminations.
How did this technology come about?
Yeah, so our CEO and co-founder, Harsh Rathod, started the company in 2020, actually, as he was finishing his PhD at the University of Victoria on the island. And he was doing his PhD in structural health monitoring. And he thought, what would be a good idea is how can I take the eyes and the ears of a dam safety engineer and put them onto a drone and then use technology like machine learning to better analyze the data. And so he developed the technology. We were founded in 2020. We had a few pilot projects with BC Hydro. And since then, we've expanded to over 25 clients globally. We have clients in Canada, the U.S., Australia, and New Zealand.
How were inspections like this done before your technology?
Yeah, so it's been done with traditional, rope access, scaffolding teams, or just on-foot inspections. Manned inspections have been done for hundreds of years on these sorts of structures. And really, now that we have access to this technology, it's about improving the way that they've been doing it to just, better understand the condition of the structure. You can think some of these assets are so big that it would take an immense amount of time for a human to walk it. And how do you know that they have done full coverage, or how have they been able to identify each of these structures' deficiencies every single time they go out? So now that we're creating kind of an unbiased digital assessment of the asset, it's providing that real truth layer associated with the structure that everybody can reference. You're not just relying on somebody's maybe subjective opinion in the field at the time.
What are you expecting to find at these two dams?
You know what? We're just going to continue to support water security in their inspection program. So we're really supporting the work that they have been doing. New technology is just providing extra value. What inspectors have been doing to date, has been meeting requirements and is safe. But what WSA is really excited about is really knowing the full condition of their entire asset and being 100% confident in it. And so, we're going to obviously be identifying all the defects that I've mentioned, cracking, spalling, and subsurface delamination. But Nerickson's not an engineering company. We're a data collector and provider. And so we'll let the engineers make the decisions that we provide them.
Yeah, it just struck me, Dan, how do you go about examining the underwater portion of the dam?
Yeah, it's a good question. So you can use, ROVs or other robotic systems. I'll tell you, it's in our pipeline to try to figure out how to collect this data underwater. But we're focusing primarily on the above water structures, specifically the spillway structures associated with these dams.
Are there any challenges to using this technology?
Definitely. So, I'm sure people have seen drones collecting data, in and around. One thing that we're doing is we're flying these drones incredibly close to the structure in order to get that incredibly high quality imagery. And for our acoustic payload, we're actually physically touching the structure. And so you can imagine, the drone being in an environment like this that is much more hazardous or risky than its traditional kind of in the air environment. So one thing that we really have to manage is in the data collection operation, ensuring that we're safe. But at the end of the day, it's better to have a drone in these places than to put people into these environments where you need, specific clearances and strategies to get people out in case of a scenario.
How many drones have you lost?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not many, surprisingly. No, we have a pretty good safety record. And I will say that of the drones that we have lost, none of them have been pilot error or operational errors. It's just been bad luck and, some sort of system error with the drone.
So, Dan, finally, what's the next step for the company and this technology?
Yeah. So, Nerickson's vision is to lead the digital transformation in condition assessments. And we're going to continue doing that. We're a high-growth company. We're one of Canada's fastest-growing startups. We recently just raised our Series A funding round. So we're, investment capitally backed. And we're going to continue to expand to other markets. We're looking to do our first projects in the UK this year, as well as in France.
All right. Dan, thanks for this.
Yeah, thanks so much, Garth. Have a good night.
That was Dan Arscott. He's the account manager and data collection lead at Nerickson.